What's up, you guys? Tyler Huxford here, and for today's video, we are going to talk about the guaranteed method to eradicate your dinos in just 8 days. Let's jump right in. So if you're here, you've seen it. Maybe you're new to the hobby. Maybe you're an experienced veteran who's wondering, how could this happen to me? But you've seen it. The dreaded snotty algae with bubbles on the end. Though algae-like, dinos are not exactly completely algae, more a protozoa. And unlike algae, which can be relatively harmless if left untreated, many types of dinos are toxic and can in fact kill your fish, corals, and especially invertebrates as they break down in the water. And unfortunately, they spread and multiply a lot faster than most algae do as well. Dinos are frustrating and can happen to anyone, both beginners as well as experienced veterans who take really great care of their tanks alike. All it takes is an introduction to your tank. Dinos are usually the result of a lack of biodiversity, meaning organisms, bacteria, and even algae, which are going to consume nutrients in your water, especially low-level nutrients. This is why even the most experienced hobbyists can experience dinos. These hobbyists are really good at reducing their pest populations and ridding their tanks completely of algae. But if you've got really low nutrient levels without any competition in the tank that can suck up those nutrients, that's actually the prime habitat for dinos to thrive, a competition-less space for micronutrients. But fear not, because today we're going to go straight up Jurassic Park on these dinos. We're going to be going over the proven method to rid your tank of dinos in just 8 days. Dr. Grant would be proud. Or Ian Malcolm, whichever guy you like best. I've got that book somewhere up here. Oh, there it is. Michael Crichton. So to ensure that this process takes just 8 days, you're going to need a few things. First of all, you're going to need a bottle of Microbacter 7. Go ahead and get a generous sized bottle. Don't get the smallest bottle. Get a large bottle. You'll thank yourself in the future. Microbacter 7 is a great product to use, and it's almost impossible to overdose. Then go ahead and get yourself a bottle of Vibrant. The Vibrant bottle, you can go ahead and purchase a small bottle. You're also going to need twice the filter socks that you would normally use to filter your fish tank system. You're going to want to make sure that you've got 2 sets, as we're going to be changing these out daily. And then the last thing you're going to need, and the most important thing to this process, is a good UV sterilizer. As we jump in here, some of these steps you're going to be completing daily. One of these steps you're going to be completing weekly. The other step you're going to complete at the conclusion of 2 weeks. This is just to ensure that you've rid your tank of dinos completely. First things first, you're going to need a UV sterilizer. This is the most important piece of the process. You almost can get rid of your dinos with just a good UV sterilizer, but these other products are going to help you ensure that you get rid of them a lot quicker. The size of the UV sterilizer will depend on your tank, so go ahead and do some research on what size UV sterilizer you'll need based on the size of your tank. I have 2 UV sterilizers for both my tank, which you see here in the background, my Red Sea Max 500, which is a 119 gallon, as well as for my innovative marine tank in the living room, which is a 40 gallon cube. So I have both the Coral Life Turbo Twist UV sterilizer, which I use in my 119. I also have the innovative marine UV sterilizer in my living room tank. Both of these UV sterilizers are effective. I've enjoyed them both, but I really recommend the Coral Life Turbo Twist model of the UV sterilizer. I think it works the most efficient. I think it lasts the longest. I highly recommend that product. So first you need to get that UV sterilizer and you need to install it. And then, super important tip, you need to turn that UV sterilizer to high flow. We're not killing parasites here. For things like ick and marine velvet, you would actually turn the flow way down on that UV sterilizer. But for pests like protozoa and algae, which reproduce really quickly, we actually need to try to match that reproduction rate as best as we can by turning that UV sterilizer up really high. I've actually seen a lot of people try to rid their dinos with UV sterilizers and think that the process is not working because they've turned their flow way too far down. This will only work if you turn your flow up high. Turn it up. Turn it up to 11. Next step, complete a water change just to kick off your 8-day dino slaughter. But don't change your water out for the next 2 weeks. We do it once to start the process. After that, don't change the water for 2 weeks. That's important. We want nutrients, bacterias, even other algae to start thriving in our systems. This is going to create more competition in our tanks, which is going to choke out the dinos. While performing that first water change, go ahead and try to siphon out as much of the dinos as you can. This will just help in getting rid of the dinos as we get started. After that water change, you're going to go ahead and dose that Microbacter 7. Follow the instructions on the bottle of Microbacter 7. We're going to be dosing this daily Dose the amount that Microbacter 7 recommends based on your tank size. I'd actually recommend, even after the 8-day process, to continue dosing that bottle until you run out. Again, it's a great product and almost impossible to overdose. This concludes day 1. Well done, Grasshopper. Day 2 in the morning, first thing we do is we change out our socks. We're going to be changing out our socks every day first thing in the morning. The reason for this is dinos actually die and break down at night. That's when you're going to have dinos free flowing throughout your tank instead of just being on the rocks and the coral where they usually like to thrive during the day. This is when you want your UV sterilizer running, this is when you want your bacteria competing with the dinos, and this is when you want your socks catching the dinos as they're going through your system. Make sure you empty out those socks each day in the morning and replace those with clean socks. You're going to need to wash your socks on a daily basis as you trade them. The way that I usually do that, and this is regardless of whether I have dinos or not, is I put them in the washer with some bleach. Not soap, definitely not soap, just bleach. Trust me, your protein skimmer will thank you. You'll dose your Microbacter 7 again at night before going to bed, and you'll also siphon out any dinos that you see, but you'll do this by siphoning into a jug and making sure that you use a sock to catch any of those dinos coming out of the tank. That way you can keep the dinos that are caught in the sock and throw those out, and you can just dump the water that inevitably is coming out with the dinos back into the tank. Again, we don't want to do any water changes during this process. We just want to get the dinos out. For days 3 through 8, we're just going to repeat what we did on day 2. We're going to change the socks, we're going to spot filter, we're going to dose our Microbacter 7. Rinse, wash, repeat. On day 8, you'll do all the same steps, but this is when you perform your first dose of Vibrant. Now make sure to follow the instructions on that. Vibrant, while reef safe, is a pretty powerful product. I wouldn't overdo it on that, but it absolutely kills a lot of organisms that you don't want in your tank. It's really great for getting rid of some of the most difficult algae out there, and it's a really effective treatment for dinos when timed properly. So just follow the instructions on the bottle, you'll be fine. Dose it on day 8. Don't dose it again for a while. Now, if you want extra credit during this process and are able, another thing that you can do during this whole process is you can actually just drape a blanket over your tank and turn off all of your lights. We call this a blackout. And blackouts are a super effective way to rid your tanks of dinos completely. I highly recommend it if you're able to do this, especially if you have like a fish-only tank. But depending on where you're at in your reefing journey, you may not be able to do this. If you've got a lot of corals, and especially a lot of light-sensitive corals, things like acros, which can get really finicky even just a few days of not having light, it's not worth it. It's not worth it to put those kinds of things in danger. You don't have to perform the blackout, but it can really assist in this process. Again, if you really want to make sure that you're getting rid of these dinos in 8 days. I would also not recommend dosing any trace elements at this time. A lot of hobbyists have found that trace elements such as iodine, especially, and iron, can be dino promoting agents. Dinos really like these trace elements. A lot of corals really like these elements, but dinos also like these elements. I would stop dosing those elements during this process. So you'll continue these steps for 14 days. You'll be dino free by day 8. You won't see anything in your tank at this point, but continue this process for the next 6 days until day 14, where you get to perform your first water change. At this point, you're going to be dino free, and you're also going to be well on your way to making your reef tank beautiful again. At this point, you should have a squeaky clean tank. Your dinos should be extinct. I like that. Dinos extinct. I like that. I just thought of that now. And you can proceed in building your beautiful reef. Just be careful as you add more frags into your tank that you're not introducing dinos again. So that's it, folks. Dino free in 8 days. Send me your before and afters. I'd love to see it. If you like this content, go ahead and like and subscribe. Remember the giveaway here, which will take place at 2,000 subscribers. We're almost there. To participate in that giveaway, just comment "here for the crack," spelled K-R-A-K, on any of my reefing videos. At 2,000 subscribers, I'm going to be going through all the comments, seeing who made those comments, entering those names into a drawing, and then at 2,000 subscribers, I will draw names to see who gets a free Grandmaster Krakatoa Zoa growing in my 40-gallon cube right now, sent to their home. Again, to participate in this, make sure you comment and are subscribed to the channel. That's how you can become an entrant in this giveaway. Until next time, folks, happy reefing out there.